I'm Molly.
I'm Julie,
And I'm Jen.
and welcome to Folks Forever, a Lois and Clark rewatch podcast.
We're three fans who've been loving LNC since 1993.
Each week we'll recap one episode and talk about at least one LNC related topic.
If you would like to learn more about who we are, how we became folks, and or how we became friends, check out our intro episode.
Today we're going to be discussing Season 2, Episode 6, Operation Blackout. Typically, we're all in our respective homes, Julie in Ohio and Molly and Jen in Oregon. But today, we're all together at Jen's house. Although she put me in the back bedroom for some reason and locked herself in her bedroom. And yeah, we're not exactly together, and yet we are. So we'll also be talking about those vintage devices that allowed us to watch as much Lois and Clark as we possibly could back in the day. Our special feature, we're giving all the love to the almighty VCR.
Oh my.
Operation Blackout first aired on October 30th, 1994. In our last episode, I threw out a list of famous people who died in 1994, but to balance that out, and because a baby is born in this episode, I've got a short list of celebrities who were born in 1994. That was the year the world gained Dakota Fanning, Saoirse Ronan, Harry Styles, Justin Bieber, Rose Williams, Margaret Qualley, Benito Antonio Martinez Ocasio, aka Bad Bunny, and last but not least, the kid who played Baby Clark in Tempest Fugitive. Name unknown.
He was so cute.
Happy 32nd year,
Oh my.
everyone.
If you are out there,
Wait, now I feel
Yikes.
old.
That's the point. If you're listening, Baby Clark, we would like to invite you on the podcast and talk about why you do not blink.
yes.
That's still an issue. Also,
He
you were
was so
adorable.
cute. So
Yes.
adorable. Operation Blackout was written by Kate Boutier. This was the only Lois and Clark episode she wrote. She'd previously written scripts for Family Ties and Growing Pains, and in her later career, she wrote a bunch of stuff for kids, including Rugrats and the Barbie movies. Operation Blackout was directed by Michael W. Watkins, who previously directed Illusions of Grandeur and The Rival, and would go on to direct another 3 episodes. He directed 6 episodes each of Quantum Leap and The X-Files, and has many other directing credits on his resume.
Every LNC episode had a title. Sometimes they were puns, sometimes they were a reference to an old movie or song. Operation Blackout is basically just a nod to the fact that this episode involves the US military, and they're always calling their complex missions slash actions operations. And there's a blackout.
There
That's
is.
it.
During the first 2 seasons, before the episode titles were known to the general public, we had to make up our own fake titles so that we could label our VHS tapes. My fake title for this episode was Fort Truman.
Huh.
What about you, Jen?
Mine was the Army / technology sucks / Jimmy's sliver.
Jimmy
Sliver.
Sliver.
Important. My title was Army Infiltration, Blackout. Oh,
All
I don't think I
right.
knew what infiltration meant, but it was a fancy word that Lois and Clark had used, so
Wow.
put it in there.
All
Nice.
right.
Eek. Before we get into our more detailed discussion of Operation Blackout, we'll be giving our very own summaries in 16 words or less. And we're going to start with Julie.
Mine is excuse for me to say Molly is flaky, never listens, and has bad taste in guys.
Oh, no.
Molly.
Only 2 of those things are true, and I'm not admitting to which ones.
Okay, which ones?
I'm gonna guess. No idea.
What about you, Jen?
Mine is technology is the enemy per Lois's old friend. Jimmy gets a sliver in an embarrassing place.
Okay. Jimmy with his sliver, splinter,
Sliver.
whatever.
Splinter.
I decided to do an A, B, C, D summary. It goes like this. Army, Blackout, College Friend, Dang it, Jimmy, stop reading while trying to cross the street.
Yeah. You're gonna get hit by a car and turn into
Allie.
Allie.
Poor Allie.
La-
Wah, wah,
R.I.P.
wah.
So, Julie, do you have any memories of your first time watching this episode?
I actually have zero memories from this one. Short and sweet, nothing. I
Short and
remember
sweet.
nothing.
Same. What about Jen?
Not much. I just remember some slight disappointment because I was seriously ready for some forward motion on the Clark and Lois romance front, and we got squat. What about you?
Okay, so yes, like Julie, we always had to go to church on Sunday nights, and I would set my VCR to record Lois and Clark. Well, on this night, we come home, I walk into the family room, the episode is already in progress, it's about 10 minutes in, and the VCR is just sitting there and not recording.
Oh
So
no.
I'm like, no. And I hit record. And the first thing I remember hearing as the TV slowly came on was like, Molly, Molly, Molly. And I'm like, what is happening? Why are they saying my name? And so we start watching. And then it was the part where Superman heard, or Clark hears the cry for help of the guy with his wife and the baby. And I kid you not, you cannot make this up. Our power went out. And I don't remember specifically like crying, but knowing me, I mean, I would have been crying at that point. We missed the beginning. Now we're missing this because the power is completely out. There's no light, no TV. It came back on, and maybe 2 minutes later, I'm hitting record again. And basically, by the end of the episode, I was so just annoyed with the whole thing that I decided I I don't want to keep this episode. I want a fresh start. I'm going to wait till the rerun and record that. I'm going to tape over this episode with the next one. And
No.
Oh,
no, I just decided like all or nothing. Like I couldn't handle this. So yeah, I taped over it with the next episode. Got it in you know, the summer, and that was the first time I saw that Jimmy got a splinter and all that. Yeah. So for me, this episode has always been on the tape right after And the Answer Is. So I would watch that whole run of things. I'd watch And the Answer Is, and then Operation Blackout would come on. Yeah.
ew.
Very weird.
Yeah.
I am a
Ay,
very
ay,
weird
ay.
person sometimes.
That'd be a weird order.
Yikes. Yeah.
Definitely.
You went backwards a little.
Yeah, but it was kind of cool too. Like the season was over, we were getting into reruns, but I still had this episode that I hadn't seen all of, and I was excited to get it on tape. So just a little strange. Jen, tell us about the guest stars in this episode.
I can do that. So, for guest stars, we have JT Walsh, played Colonel Charles Fane. He is best known for Breakdown, Sling Blade, A Few Good Men, Needful Things, and he was also in Pleasantville as Big Bob, and 19 episodes of a TV series called Dark Skies. Melora Hardin played Molly Flynn. She is best known for playing Jan in The Office. Did you guys watch that?
Yes, I did.
And also, she played Trudy Monk from Monk. She was also in The Rocketeer, 27 Dresses, 17 Again, and Hannah Montana, the movie. She has done a lot. She also appeared in Gilmore Girls, Matlock, Touched by an Angel, and some of my favorite shows like Friends and Caroline in the City.
She was also on Little House on the Prairie in its
Hmm.
later years.
Yes, long time ago.
And should we mention who she's related to? We mentioned it way back in Green Green Glow of Home, but Wayne Eyrig is her dad, IRL. Jerry Hardin.
We also have Bill Irwin, played Andy Tucker. He was in Planes, Trains, and Automobiles, Somewhere in Time. He was Man in Airport in Home Alone. And he did a few one-offs like My Name is Earl, The King of Queens, So Little Time, Seinfeld, Growing Pains, The West Wing, and Just Shoot Me. Charles Rocket played Ryan Wiley. He was in Dumb and Dumber, Hocus Pocus. He played Dave Dennison, the dad. And he was also in Dances with Wolves. Over the years, he's done Wings, Tom and Hook, The Pretender, Superman the Animated Series, and Third Rock from the Sun, among other things.
I believe he was in the Quantum Leap episode A Little Miracle, along with Jarrett Lennon from Illusions of Grandeur, directed by the guy who directed this episode. So again,
Hmm.
this director is pulling people from his old things into the cast.
Wow. Well, you make a good impression.
He's also in the movie Brain Smasher, A Love Story with Terry.
That's the one you're trying to get me to watch, huh? While you're
I
here.
I am going to force you to watch some of it.
Sounds good.
It's so funny.
All right. I have one more. Tom Hatton played General Ralph Marshall. He was in Spies Like Us, The Secret of Nim, and Get Smart. He also appeared in shows like Wings, Silver Spoons, and Newhart.
Awesome. Oh, the chanter guy. He was also in Since You've Been Gone with Terry.
Hmm, that's cool.
I think his name is John Lear.
Yay, John Lear.
All right, should we get into the episode?
Let's do it.
Sure. Lois, Clark, and Jimmy attend a demonstration at Fort Truman, showcasing the military's latest weapon, the ATAS, the All-Terrain Automated Soldier. They sit down on the wooden bleachers,
And we've got to sit on these hard wooden benches.
Well, the Army's not known for being big on comfort.
and Jimmy immediately gets a splinter.
Ow! Tell me about it. I just got a splinter in a very embarrassing place.
Poor Jimmy.
That's the highlight of the episode for me. First 5 seconds.
Clark just laughs, which,
Yeah.
again, after Lois got bit by the bug in the last episode, and now Jimmy's getting a splinter, and Clark's just laughing. I'm like, sir, someone needs to put some kryptonite next to you and show you that these things hurt.
Right? As the demonstration begins, the crowd watches in amazement while the small robotic tank destroys targets and responds flawlessly to voice commands from Major General Ralph Marshall. Lois offers Clark her binoculars, and he absentmindedly blurts out that he doesn't need them before quickly correcting himself.
They're hard to use with my glasses.
That's valid.
That's not untrue. Yeah.
Exactly. As somebody who wears glasses, yes, I would be like, no, it's fine. Nearby, a suspicious man hidden among the spectators secretly punches commands into a keypad. Suddenly, the ATAS stops responding to orders and turns its weapon directly towards the Major General and the crowd. Panic erupts, people scream, scatter, and duck for cover. Clark quickly, as Superman, of course, steps directly into the line of fire before destroying the rogue machine. He rushes to check on Lois, who immediately asks, "Where's Clark?"
Finally, someone's asking where's Clark. This
Someone
has been an
cares.
issue.
Somebody cares finally.
Somebody finally, yes, thank you. This is the turning point of the series for me. Lois cares if Clark's okay.
Right. Thinking fast, Superman claims that Clark went to find an ambulance. But Jimmy grimly interrupts. It's already too late. The general is dead. Dun dun dun. Is he the only person that dies? Because I don't see how that's possible.
With
That was a
I
lot.
think he was standing, I think he
Yeah.
was standing at an angle that the gun was pointed to that, and I don't think the people on the bleachers were in any danger,
Okay.
but they thought they were because it was
Yeah.
coming towards them. But I think they were out of line because that would be really bad if like this ATAS, if there was a huge murder.
Right.
Yeah.
So, like, that's a lot for only one death. But okay, maybe
Yeah.
he was off to the side a little bit.
because that one extra that's sitting there straight up like this, like frozen, definitely would have gone there.
Yes. Well, off to the side, the man who caused the chaos talks with a visibly shaken Colonel Fane.
Our man is about to become base commander. You don't look too happy.
The colonel replies,
For God's sakes, we just killed a man, Ryan. You know, sometimes I think you're as inhuman as that robot down there.
Ryan, unfazed, replies,
That could be a good thing, Chuck. Because that's what it takes when you're gonna hold the entire world hostage.
dun dun dun.
Yeah, throughout this episode, Ryan seems way more into it than Colonel Fane. Plus, he's mean to Colonel Fane. I think Colonel Fane doesn't want anything to do with this, except I think
Right,
he wants the money. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't even feel like he really wants to be in charge, but now he has to be.
Yeah. Maybe he owes Ryan a bunch of money and he's like, oh shit. I gotta do this. We don't know, but
It's a little weird. Back at the Daily Planet, Lois and Clark both hit dead ends trying to get answers about the general's death. Jimmy bursts in excited to show off his photos from the demonstration, but they're all blurry disasters. Lois stares at one in disbelief and asks,
This one's blurry. This one's completely out of focus. Jimmy, is this the best we have?
Yeah, I'm sorry. My finger froze on the shutter. That happens when I'm being shot at.
Yesterday we were at the fair. Molly somehow got a picture of our feet and shared it with us. And Julie types back in our Discord, Jimmy, is that you? It was funny. It
was great.
was good.
I feel like this picture comes back, but I can't remember which episode. They use it as a prop. Okay.
Yeah. It definitely comes back as a goof because I was like, yeah, that's Jimmy's picture of the robot. Perry, you need glasses. Then Lois spots someone in one of the photos. Ryan Wiley, a computer engineer from Fort Truman, and the fiance of her old best friend from college. The problem? Ryan Wiley is supposed to be dead. Suddenly, they have a real lead. That'd be crazy to see somebody that you thought was dead in a photo.
Yeah.
And poor Lois, Clark, is like, oh, then he's a ghost. Clark, you're an alien. Get with it. These things happen.
And wait a couple seasons regarding the ghost thing. So Clark
gets even crazier. So Lois and Clark visit her old friend's bookstore. Lois jokes nervously about what she's supposed to tell Molly.
Your boyfriend's back? We think he's starting trouble. Hey la, de la.
They arrive at Molly's greenhouse bookstore, an eclectic little shop, and Lois is shocked to see Molly's book, Technology is Killing Us, displayed in the window. Lois can't believe her old friend, once a computer engineer, now runs a quirky anti-tech bookstore. Would you have went in this bookstore?
Oh yeah, I love a bookstore. Yeah. Especially little crystals hanging everywhere. That's my vibe.
Mean, the people I would have not gone in because of the people. I am not a social butterfly. I would have just kept walking. But if no people were in there doing their little chanting, I would have been like, let's check it out. See what's in there. Why not?
Have you seen Molly?
Where's Molly?
Clark teases that apparently Lois didn't keep in touch very well with her college friends. She sarcastically fires back,
well, sure. I mean, that's easy when you go to Smallville U with a graduating class of 10 farmers and a cow.
But Clark only laughs.
Just hate losing those arguments, don't you?
That's mean, Lois. What?
She's not nice.
10 farmers and a cow.
I think it's funny. And also that it doesn't seem to bother Clark at all. He's like, yeah, it was 10 people.
Yeah.
No,
maybe
no
it was.
Here.
It could be true. Inside, Molly warmly greets them and recognizes Lois immediately. Lois is stunned by how different Molly seems and awkwardly tells her she looks not herself. I guess that's better than saying that she looked mature. But not by much. We find out that Molly gave up her computer engineer job working on the Hawkeye project after realizing what a horror technology had become. Apparently, the Hawkeye project is this machine that can kill from space.
Why Clark or Superman has not already tried to take this thing out, if it's well known. Well, he does find it pretty easily later, so I'm guessing he's aware of it. He's aware of it and where it is.
But it hasn't been used, so...
No.
Clark super speed reads Molly's book and asks about Ryan, since she briefly mentions him near the end, but never explains how he died. Molly looks at him confused. You went to the end of the book first?
Yeah, I read a lot of mysteries. It's a bad habit.
Clark, you're a weirdo. Like, what? I guess that would make sense, but then you ruin the whole book if you read the end first in a mystery novel. Molly explains that Ryan supposedly died in an explosion while working on the Hawkeye project. And since it was an explosion, there were no remains. Yikes. Lois then shows Molly the photo that Jimmy took, the one that appears to show Ryan standing in the crowd. Molly immediately shuts it down, insisting Ryan is dead and that the man in the photo can't possibly be him, before quickly changing the subject. After getting nowhere with Molly, Lois and Clark leave. Clark just has to poke fun at her, saying, "You two have a very interesting friendship."
It's Ryan. He's the only thing we ever argued about. He was a user, and she just couldn't see it.
Let me guess. You tried helping her see the light, but in her love-struck state, she mistook your sound advice for meddling.
You think you're so smart. She never used the word meddle. But I'll tell you this, I was right about him then, and I don't believe her now.
As they walk away, we see Molly looking out the shop window, and Ryan comes up behind her.
Ryan.
If Clark had only used his X-ray vision
Mm-hmm.
or his super hearing or literally anything.
Yeah.
Or if they just looked back. Wasn't smart to be looking
Turn
out the
around.
window. Turn around. What if they turned around to wave and went, "Oh, he's here!" Lois and Clark go to Lois's apartment, where they continue to argue. Lois is surprised that Clark agrees with Molly's stance on technology, to which Clark says, "I didn't say that. I just mean that she's not alone in her thinking about technology." Clark starts rattling off examples from Lois's day. She got cash from an ATM, paid for gas at the pump, used her security card to access her underground parking garage, all without speaking to a single human being. Lois shrugs and replies,
Sometimes that's a good thing.
"I agree, Lois." I'm on Lois's side here.
Yeah,
Somewhat. Somewhat.
we've talked about this before, like our technology. I think back in maybe Ides Metropolis was the one, but yeah, and Clark lists Lois asks him, name one technological advancement you could live without, and Clark goes, cable television. Oh wait, you said advancement, didn't you? Rough, Clark.
Right.
Rough, man.
Mm-hmm.
But that was funny. But can you guys, is there a technology that you think is that was invented in our lifetime that you are extremely grateful for?
I mean, I see pros and cons of a lot of them. Like, I love social media, but to a fault. I think that it's great that you can keep up so easily with people that you know, grew up with or family members that are on opposite sides of the country. I do love my technology, but I wouldn't have met you guys. But there is a tipping point, and I feel like a lot of the times we've all crossed it, you know?
Hmm.
I don't know. It's complicated.
Well, I'm a big fan of GPS because before GPS,
Yeah.
well, even when in the early days when we had to get MapQuest and stuff, and I would have to write out all the directions in like sentences of where to go, and I still would get so lost. And I know maps exist, but have you ever tried using a paper map?
Yeah.
You have to know where you are on
Yeah,
it for
I
it to
can't do the
even
paper
work.
map. Mm-mm.
Yeah.
No.
So GPS has been a lifesaver. I mean, occasionally it will reroute me to my original destination, which is not what I wanted to do, but when it works, it's grand.
Right. It's just when people overuse it and they rely on it and they lose complete social abilities. I see it every day at work. They come in and they want me to explain every single thing to them. They have no patience. It's like,
Hmm.
you can read what's in front of you on the screen. It's telling you to do this. Why do I have to read it for you to tell you what to do? Like they've just kind of zoned out because they're so used to just, scrolling on their phone and not doing anything mentally for themselves. So it's
Yeah.
good and bad.
And I think that's where we're at with AI. We've turned the
Hmm.
corner into AI world. And I know it's like handy for people and there's all these things, but it also is, it'll be interesting to see this next generation and how they adapt. Like, are they going to be able to have critical thinking skills, you know? That's question marks. I don't
I I feel like we've lost the critical thinking for sure for the
Yeah.
younger people.
Mhm.
For
Yeah.
sure. And just to really drive home the point that Lois would rather rely on technology than interact with people, she decides to order pizza by fax. Yes, fax. Which immediately raises an important question. Since when does Lois own a fax machine? Because she definitely didn't have one in Green Grove home.
But that was like a year ago. I mean, she's had some time.
Why does she need a fax machine? Do you have a fax machine?
No, I didn't. Oh, actually, I did, but not now.
No. I mean, I think my printer works as one, but I've never used it as one.
I just fax at work if I have to, which is never. As she grabs a notepad and pencil to write out the order, an idea suddenly clicks. She asks Clark to grab her college yearbook. Maybe they can compare Ryan's handwriting in the yearbook to the signatures on the military sign-in sheets. After all, Ryan signed her yearbook. Clark can't resist teasing her a little as he flips through it, reading some of the messages out loud. To Stretch. No one swings like you do. Love, Teddy. Lois groans, already annoyed, saying that she was just in gymnastics with him. Clark grins. Stretch. I like it. Lois shoots him a look, and it's the last time you'll use it. Finally, Lois finds Ryan's message. Dear Lois, eye to eye we have never seen, but friends we will remain. Let's stay in touch. Rye. Lois adds that everything about this guy was phony, and Clark says, even his death. Did it bug you guys that they were flipping through the middle of the yearbook looking for signatures? Who signs in the middle of the yearbook? Did anybody sign the
Well,
middle?
No, never.
I have a lot of old yearbooks, and if they were juniors, they probably would be in the middle because they always have the seniors first, and then they have a bunch of sports and other stuff. And, well, not a whole bunch of other stuff, but like not sports. Um, After the seniors, they'll usually have some other random candidates and things like that. And then they'll have the juniors, sophomores, freshmen. Um, yeah, sort of in the middle. But the fact,
Huh.
book
But
logic and
did you sign by your picture or did you sign? Because I always signed on the
Inside or out? Yeah, the inside
inside.
covers.
Yeah. Mhm.
Yeah.
it goes both ways. I've seen people sign by their photos and I've seen
Huh.
people sign on the front and the back.
Interesting. All right. So back at Fort Truman, Ryan tells Fane that he wants yet another person transferred because they're asking too many questions. So I guess that's why no one recognizes him at the base. That was a very big question mark for me at first. Like, why? How does nobody know who this guy is? But that's because he's transferred everybody out. Makes sense now. Fane tells him that Lois is becoming a problem, and Ryan is just all, well, there's going to be too much chaos in Metropolis coming up for her to worry about us. Uh-oh. What are they going to do? Something's going to happen.
Imagine if we'd known these episode titles beforehand and we'd been like, oh, I wonder what will happen. Blackout?
Blackout.
Hmm.
Well, at least this villain stating his plan actually comes to fruition, unlike, soccer ball guys in the source. These guys actually do cause chaos. So good job following through on your threats.
Right. So much chaos that you worry about a power outage instead of a murder.
Yeah. All right. So Jimmy walks out of the Daily Planet reading a magazine, and he is clearly paying way more attention to that than to, like just crossing the street, which this was kind of a joke between the three of us yesterday when we were walking around downtown Portland. Every time the stoplight would go, we'd play some music in our little head and laugh.
Da-da-da-da-da-da-da.
Yes, they use the exact. So in this scene, they use the exact same music from the pilot, the scene where, Clark stops the bus and all the people are crossing. Every little bit of it from everything's jaunty and everything's fine, and then doom is coming. And Good job, Jake Rista.
The
Appreciate that.
doom music. Did you see that Jimmy was reading a magazine article about the spin doctors? I thought that was kind of interesting because of their
Oh,
seed. Yes, because of their CD Pocket Full of Kryptonite, which has that song Jimmy Olsen Blues on it. I thought that was interesting. I'm sure it was.
That
I don't
had
know
to
if
be
that
an
was
Easter egg.
maybe that was an
Yeah.
Easter egg intentional. Yeah,
I think
That's cool.
Yeah,
Was
that
that-
had to be. That's
it's
funny.
the first time I noticed. I was like, oh, it's the Spin Doctors. They have that
Nice.
CD.
So Jimmy looks up, he sees the light is red, and he stops. Then it changes, and Jimmy heads into the crosswalk, still reading. Apparently, the Spin Doctors was a very intriguing article. So, and I'm also getting cell phone vibes here because this is what we do now. We don't cross the street without like looking at our phone. Stupid people.
We don't pay attention.
Yep. Anyway, he walks out into the street. Cars are honking, and somehow he doesn't react at all. He's just completely tuned out to the entire world. Clark happens to be nearby, notices what's happening, and sees Jimmy about to get hit. So Clark slips behind one of the big Daily Planet pillars, takes off his glasses, and comes back out as Superman just in time to swoop Jimmy off the street and keep several drivers from having a really bad afternoon. And Jimmy looks very rattled.
As you would.
As you would. Back at the Daily Planet, Perry turns on the news where they're reporting that all the traffic signals in Metropolis are stuck on green. Jimmy walks up behind him as the newscaster says that thanks to Superman, there were no casualties. Perry immediately tells Jimmy to grab his camera and go get some pictures. Perry then spots Clark and asks where he's been. Clark, without missing a beat, goes, I was stuck in traffic, Chief. Nice save. Perry tells him to get started on the story for the afternoon edition, and Clark heads over to Lois to ask if she knows what caused all of this. Lois says it sounds like sabotage. The Department of Transportation got an anonymous note that says,
Cars are isolating us from each other. Walk among your fellow man.
Clark points out that it's a direct quote from Molly Flynn's book.
You think
No, not Molly. She's an activist, but she's the last person who would do something like this. It's probably some nut read her book.
I forgot to bring this up earlier. Did Clark buy her book then? Because he walked out with it. So he must have, maybe he felt guilty that he read it at super speed and didn't buy the book.
Yes, I
So he
I
had
do
to
think
buy
he
it.
got a copy.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Clark asks,
any luck getting information on Ryan Wiley's death?
0. Everything comes back classified, access denied, but I did do a follow-up story on the ATAS.
then she hits a few keys on her computer keyboard and her whole story
I
disappears.
just lost my story.
Perry comes out of his office saying that his computer froze.
Somebody get me MIS. My computer just froze up.
Okay, so anyway, that's bad enough. But then they realize that the phones are out too. Jimmy runs in yelling, Chief, because there's a note taped to the lobby door and it says,
The phones of Metropolis are mute. Its computer's silence. We have released the death grip of technology and freed the human spirit. What kind of sophomore claptrap is this?
It's exactly the claptrap Molly was ranting about yesterday.
at this point, it's sounding real familiar. Clark says,
Looks like Molly's graduated from activist to terrorist.
and even Lois has to admit that he may be right. So Perry sends Lois and Clark out to chase the story, but reminds everyone that they still have a paper to put out. Jimmy points out the obvious,
Chief, we're fully computerized.
but Perry has a plan because, see, Perry White was alive when typewriters were a thing, and he apparently is ready for the apocalypse. He directs someone to go grab the typewriters out of storage. Perry then tells Jimmy to stick with him because you're about to find out what it's like to be a real newspaperman. Jimmy is way too excited about this.
I love how they have like this linotype machine in the basement and a bunch of typewriters, and it's like they kind of forgot about the planet's fire and explosion.
I know.
Nope, everything's fine.
Everything's salvaged. Exactly.
And then that got me thinking that, because we've talked about, not to get back to that episode, but it did strike the thought that knowing Lex set that whole thing up, he must have not made it that catastrophic on purpose, so because he didn't want Lois to die,
Hmm.
right? So I still have questions. Okay, moving
Yeah.
on though. Get with the second season, Molly.
So back at Molly's shop, there's a guy with a goatee and a completely sideways cattywampus tie sitting on the floor surrounded by candles, leading what appears to be some kind of meditation session. A bunch of people are sitting around chanting while Clark and Lois walk in.
Sounds like some kind of religious chant.
Lois tries to get someone's attention, but everyone is too committed to whatever this candle situation circle is.
Excuse me. I'm looking for Molly? Excuse me. Has anybody seen Molly?
She finally gets to the guy leading it to respond by just walking over and shutting off the music, which he is not happy about.
Hey, what are you doing? We're chanting here.
We were just wondering if anybody had seen Molly Flynn.
He tells them that he has not seen Molly Flynn.
Well, who let you in?
We have a key, okay?
Just what exactly are you chanting for?
Inner peace and brotherhood. Now go away.
Lois and Clark keep looking around and spot an apartment hidden behind a curtain of beads. So they head inside. The walls are basically the exact same purple as the friend's apartment, which made me smile.
I wrote that down too.
Did you?
Like it looks like Monica's apartment.
They must
They
have
just
had
had
that
extra purple paint.
Yeah.
Yep.
So they all look around and realize that Molly's clothes are gone. So she's definitely not just out running errands. Clark checks the fridge and starts listing what's inside. And when he mentions a couple bottles of Golden Springs beer, Lois stops him. Not because she's thirsty, but because that's Ryan's favorite beer. Apparently, you have to special order it. So now Lois is convinced that Ryan is alive, and Molly was hiding him there the whole time. And they're showing up basically probably sent them running. Clark asks why Ryan would have been at Fort Truman, but Lois says that they need to get back to the Daily Planet and find out who led the investigation into his quote unquote death. As they're leaving the apartment, Clark hears someone calling for help. So naturally, he pulls out his excuse.
I'll catch up with you later. I'm gonna stay and talk to some of the chanters. They might know something.
See if they know any chants for missing persons.
Sure, Clark. Very subtle.
They know nothing.
They know
They clearly
nothing.
know nothing.
Mhm.
He said, go away. So that means go away.
Exactly. But the second Lois is gone, Clark ditches the glasses and heads back into Molly's apartment. And, not at all related, Superman shows up on the scene where there's a guy absolutely losing it by a payphone on the side of the street, which, by the way, is dead. He's running
That's
around
funny.
yelling for help, trying to get anyone to pay attention. Then there's a car nearby, and you can hear a woman screaming inside of it. Superman rushes over, opens the door, and it turns out she's just given birth. He carefully pulls the baby out of the car while the father takes the newborn girl, and Superman immediately takes off to fly them both to the hospital. The weird part is you can see into the car, and there's no woman visible. So either she's collapsed somewhere in the back seat or on the floor.
Probably lying down. That's what I assumed. But
Probably.
no, I mean, there definitely wasn't another actress in that car.
Yeah.
No,
Delivering
there
baby
was.
scenes are.
Yes. There was in the script. She was actually there and she did have one line.
Oh.
Justice for the mama.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, baby delivery on TV and movies is always a little bit
Yeah.
ridiculous, but yeah, so literally anybody can catch a baby popping out, right? So Superman doing that wouldn't be that super, but the fact that this dad was so panic stricken, he was absolutely no help. So
Yeah.
yeah, what a wholesome thing for Superman to do.
I know. You hear the guy go, the husband.
Honey, I just had a great idea for a name.
And the baby is a girl. So I'm curious, what was he thinking for a girl to be named?
Supergirl, maybe? I don't know. But the woman's line was going to be, "Don't even think about it." But what would it have been? It obviously can't be Superman. Come on.
No.
That would be ridiculous.
Yeah.
But I'm wondering if he cut the cord with his supervision. Laser
Like
it.
his laser eyes.
Well, you had
What?
to. Like, who carries scissors in their car?
Right. He had
Sterile
to have.
scissors at that.
He had to have.
Yeah.
Alrighty.
I kind of don't want to think about this too hard.
Yeah,
Moving
same.
on.
All right.
Yeah.
So get ready because this is the part where I zone out. Back at Fort Truman, Ryan meets up with Colonel Charles Fane. Fane immediately has Ryan salute him. He tells Ryan that he's already made the offer to the mayor, and now it's her call whether she wants troops in the city or not. Ryan pushes back, saying,
Well, she better decide by 8 a.m. tomorrow, because that's when the Hawkeye's within range for me to be able to override its tracking systems.
Fane points out a problem.
Ryan, she's not going to ask for the troops unless the city is out of control, and it's not yet.
So Ryan, clearly not in the mood, says,
Well, then tonight we're just going to have to help it along, aren't we, sir?
Ryan walks off annoyed and same. I'm bored. No offense. This was really hard to follow, not only because it was boring, but the lines were kind of mumbled and they were said really fast. I had trouble understanding what they were talking about, what they were saying. And as I'm like rewinding multiple times, I mean, I couldn't understand even when I was trying to pay attention. So
I got distracted by how many times Ryan used the word Chuck. He kept
Chuck.
ending his sentences with Chuck
instead of
And I
Charles.
started counting. I'm like, stop calling him that. He's right in front of you. He knows his name, Jen. He knows his name, Julie. Don't you know that?
Right, Molly.
Maybe he doesn't like being called Chuck. Maybe it's a form
You have a
of
point,
like
Jen.
I'm trying to see if you ended it with you have a point, Jenny, I'd be like,
excuse me.
So back in the newsroom, Lois is typing away on the typewriter and using her handy dandy whiteout. Perry walks out chanting orders. He looks at Lois's whiteout and gets giddy. Lois admits to some technology withdrawal. Just then, Jimmy busts in with a shortwave radio. What the frick?
Yeah.
Lois asks, right? I don't know. Lois asks if he could get Washington on that. Perry says yes. Lois admits that she needs to find out who investigated Ryan Wiley's supposed death. She wonders if Perry knows anyone in Washington who could find that out. Perry goes, Stormin' Norman. Lois responds, Schwarzkopf? And Perry corrects her, saying,
Haberstapser, retired admiral. Stormin' Norman's his handle, too.
Perry says that guy would love to look into it for her. It would give him something to do. Out of nowhere, some old guy yells out, Hey, is that you? And he's wearing a loud blue, like button-up shirt with a red suspenders and a bright yellow tie. Perry shouts out, Andy! This guy is yelling, and it turns out he lost all his hearing back in the day, but he's the only one who could operate this old linotype machine. Perry then introduces Andy to Jimmy. Jimmy takes him down to the press room, and it's funny because this guy is absolutely yelling everything, and Jimmy's reaction is adorable.
Follow me.
What? You're gonna have to speak up. 20 years of running linotype machines have affected Andy's hearing.
Follow me.
Nice meeting you.
You too.
What'd she say?
You too.
Me too, what?
Nothing.
Oh, boy.
Love Jimmy. And I love watching in the background. Do you guys watch this part? Because there's the whole scene going on in the foreground, but in the background, Jimmy loses track of Andy when he goes the wrong way. And I loved watching that little interaction as a kid.
That's funny. Like this way, no.
Perry notices that Lois looks tired and sends her home. He tells her that if Stormin' Norman calls, he'll send a runner. So Lois leaves. Next, we see Lois entering her apartment with her hands full of groceries. She walks in and notices the window is open and all the lights go out across town. And a shadowy figure runs over behind her and pushes her out the window. She's flying down multiple stories because now apparently she lives in a skyscraper.
Apparently, she lives above a very busy highway as well.
Yes. Maybe she's in like the Lex clone apartment that's up high in Lex Tower.
Yeah, maybe he's got one up there.
Lois lives in apartment 105 and or 501 on the third story in a high rise.
Yes.
Yeah.
Make it make sense.
That makes perfect sense. I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Exactly.
It's okay.
All buildings in Metropolis are vortexes.
Yes.
I accept that. You should too.
Okay.
All right. So I don't know how this happened, but Lois's purse or bag or whatever catches on an outstretched pole hanging from the side of the building, and she manages to climb over on it, dangling high in the sky. How? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sure.
Physics. She's screaming. Superman floats up with his arms crossed and says,
Now, I realize that you probably have everything under control, but since I'm here...
and Lois goes, yeah, I guess, if you're not doing anything. He swoops her up and flies her back into the window and safely into her apartment. She tells Superman that someone pushed her out of the apartment window. Superman tells Lois to stay there and he runs off. Lois then looks down and sees a charm on the ground. When Superman flies back, he didn't see anyone. Lois replies, it doesn't matter. I know who it is. I gave this charm to a friend of mine in college. Guess we're not friends anymore. Superman hears someone screaming for help and Lois tells him to go ahead. He hesitates but leaves. Back at the Daily Planet, it's late. The lights are still out and everyone's still grinding away trying to get this paper out under less than ideal circumstances. Lois walks in with snacks. Corn chips, chocolate chip cookies, licorice, the full survival kit. Jimmy immediately looks in the bag and goes,
No double fudge crunch bars?
I'm hoarding those for myself.
there they are. There they are. She is not sharing those, and I wouldn't either.
So
There
we
it is.
have some double fudge crunch bars.
Yay!
Jimmy
They're
doesn't get
amazing.
any.
They look so good. You did such an amazing job on those. And the
They're
box.
yummy.
You have the box too.
I made the box too, because you have to have the whole box.
Of course.
Quickly going back to the scene at Lois's apartment when Superman says for her to stay here, she actually listens. This has never happened.
Yeah, sure.
Right? That's
So
true.
She stays.
Good job, Lois.
Which, I mean, maybe she got distracted by the shiny object, and that's the only reason
Yeah,
why, but
that's
still.
probably why.
Hmm.
So Lois and Perry start talking about what it's like out there. Lois says there are soldiers everywhere in the streets, like the city is basically under siege. Perry adds that they think it's Lois's activist friend behind the blackout situation. Clark walks in and gets the standard question, where have you been? And he deadpans, I was covering Superman. Another excuse. We're getting a few of those.
A few.
Just then, Andy runs in with the first copy off the press.
Here's the first copy, Perry, hot off the press.
Everyone cheers, and Clark says,
Just pulled off a miracle, Chief.
Perry, of course, refuses to take full credit.
I couldn't have done it alone.
Oh, thanks, Chief.
But then Perry immediately pivots and yells,
Andy, you're the best.
and Andy, who can't hear a darned thing, goes,
It's all right, I don't need a rest.
which is not what anyone said.
I love it. I
him.
love that whole thing. Love it.
It's so good. I will give the writers credit where it's due, and that is some good writing. So that kicks off a whole chain of misheard back and forths between Andy and everyone else.
What you say?
It looks great, Andy.
I know it's late. You want to run it?
Chief, somebody's calling for you on the shortwave.
All right, Andy, you get back down to the press room and print like hell. Jimmy, you go with him. He's going to need all the help he can get. Sun's coming up right around the corner.
Come on, I'll give you a hand.
What are you yelling for?
Finally, Perry steps back, looks at the room, and says,
By God, we're going to be the only paper in this city to have a morning edition.
Lois and Clark walk over to Lois's desk. Clark says, Superman told me what happened at your apartment. Are you okay? Lois says, yeah, she's fine.
I mean, so an old friend tried to kill me. These things happen. Okay, they happened to me.
Lois goes on to say she really can't believe Molly is behind all these things, especially the attempted murder of her a few minutes ago. Clark says,
People can't have two sides to their personalities, Lois. Believe me, I know.
Perry interrupts them to let them know that Storm and Norman came through over the shortwave radio. At last. Norman found out the name of the person who investigated Ryan Wiley's death. It was Colonel Fane, aka Chuck. And they're like, aha, that's why Fane's been avoiding them and not answering their fax. What's his and Ryan's endgame here? Why make all the things go wrong in Metropolis? Is it a diversion? So Lois and Clark decide that they need to get into Fort Truman. But how? Lois tells Clark, meet me outside in 10 minutes, and hurries off.
I worry when she gets that look in her eye.
I love that. It's so funny. He knows. It's never a good thing. That means trouble. Trouble's a brewing.
She gonna hot wire something.
Up to no good.
So Perry has a right to be concerned because Lois has stolen an army jeep, and she drives up and she's now wearing camo. She hands Clark an officer's outfit and tells him to change into it, which somehow he does in the moving vehicle.
What? Yeah.
Does his modesty gone out the window, I guess?
Yeah.
And I hope he wasn't wearing a Superman suit underneath.
I never thought about that
all the
until
questions
now.
I have here.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Never thought about that
that's
until you said that
true.
out loud.
Me either. Interesting. Now I have even more questions. More questions. I don't know.
Is there a back seat to the car sorry. Is there a back
There
maybe
is.
he, maybe he went in the back seat, changed super speed, but like I don't know.
Okay.
Maybe.
Trying to imagine.
So we see them pull up to the gate at Fort Truman, and they're both now wearing their outfits, their disguises. And the guards let them in, but as they pass through the gate, Lois salutes the guards with her left hand, and Clark calls her on it. But Lois says she doubts anyone noticed. They park the Jeep and enter Colonel Fane's office, where Lois sees and hugs the working fax machine because Fort Truman still has power. And she's like, oh, they told me the fax machine wasn't working, but it is. Then she sees a piece of paper that's waiting to be sent. It says that Fort Truman has just been destroyed by the satellite and yada yada blackmail, this and that. And it's supposed to be sent 15 minutes from that moment. So, now they know that the fort they are in is about to be nuked. What can they do? They decide to find the command center and see if they can stop the satellite from firing. They head out. Lois runs off this way, and Clark goes that way, and he gets immediately caught by soldiers with guns and Colonel Fane. And he says to the soldiers to put Clark into army jail. So Clark tries to reason with these soldiers and explain that I'm a reporter and I know what's about to happen. It's about to be destroyed here. And the soldiers do not believe him. And they even make a rude joke about how, oh, next you're going to tell us you're Superman and you're here to save the day. And Clark is so pissed in this moment. He reminds me of me when I get in a confrontation with a student because he's like, I'm so pissed right now. Grr. As soon as they lock him in the cell, he begins to float up. He takes off his glasses and throws them on the ground. I hope he comes back for them later.
Yes. Questions?
I do also assume Clark has like multiple pairs of the same glasses. I mean, because think of the risks, really. But Yeah, he leaves him there, and the soldiers are going to wonder where the guy went, and he did tell them his name, so we have some issues possibly here. Anyway, Superman, Clark, he's still Clark, I don't know. So Clark floats up to this window with bars, and he goes, grrr, and he pulls open the bars. He looks like he's actually struggling to do this, which I don't know why. And
Right.
then he rips open his shirt to reveal the S, because he is out of there. How he goes.
I hope he bent the bars back.
And,
Because if
and
not,
super breathed his glasses, was like,
yes, stuff them
my
back.
glasses, okay. Lois, meanwhile, makes her way to the command center, and Molly is there. It turns out she's been kidnapped by Ryan and she's all tied up. So Lois is like, ah, and she unties her. And then Molly and Lois kind of argue back and forth. Well, then Chuck and Ryan arrive. And we learn that Ryan has framed Molly for everything that's been happening thus far, and he plans to blame the destruction of Fort Truman on her too. Speaking of which, Ryan plans to destroy Fort Truman using a remote system. So basically, he's just here to grab a couple things before he and Chuck head off and push a button. As they leave, they lock Molly and Lois inside the control room.
No! Can you stop it?
I don't know.
Molly tries some computery things, trying to override the satellite system, while Lois acts all impatient and butthurt.
I am not the one who dated a psycho.
Lois, in what may be our last minutes on Earth together, is this really what you want to talk about?
Well, yes, for once, I would like it if you would agree with me about Ryan.
Look, he was cute, we had a lot of common interests, we fell in love. How was I supposed to know he was going to turn out to be a psycho?
Ha! So you admit it.
All right, I admit it. But we're still going to die, so what good does it do?
Well, I feel a little better.
Lois argues that because she hated Ryan, and because Molly was so wrapped up in Ryan, Lois felt ignored. Molly says that a true friend would have understood and tried to keep the friendship alive regardless. But,
well, a real friend would have just respected my feelings and kept our relationship alive. But I guess that would require somebody that wasn't judgmental and self-absorbed.
and I feel like Lois is really taking a beating in this episode. I mean, they're not
For sure.
wrong, but they sure go after her quite a bit.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, on this big screen on the wall, an image of the base comes into view, and we hear a voice saying, "Primary target identified." Molly has
Just
tried
like that.
installing a new gizmo, but alas, it does not matter because that jerk Ryan has made this file or whatever read only, which means Molly cannot override the satellite. And that's when both ladies realize they're gonna die. Lois begins to cry and they hug each other. A voice says that the destruction will happen in 60 seconds. Then all of a sudden, Superman bursts in. Doo-doo-doo. Lois quickly fills him in on the satellite and this and that, and he flies off. And I love the look on Molly's face here because first she looks shocked to see Superman, then she looks like she's in awe, and then realization dawns on her that Lois is talking to Superman like she knows him, and Molly's like, what's going on right now?
Wouldn't this be common knowledge? Maybe.
You would
Depend.
think.
Well, she probably doesn't read a lot of stuff. Molly.
Yeah.
It's not like it's technology, though. It's just the newspaper.
Yeah,
I mean, you
it's the
could,
newspaper.
I don't know. If it was on the internet, if it was like the newspaper now is published online, maybe not. but
Right.
Paper.
Yeah, I don't. Was the picture of Lois and Superman kissing and all shook up like put in the newspaper even?
Probably not. It's probably on the news, but she probably doesn't watch TV. So
Right. Yeah. That's probably, yeah. I think that's cute though. Because for Lois, it's just another day in Metropolis talking to Superman, and for her friend, she's like, what the hell?
Whoa.
Superman then flies up to space and redirects the satellite beam just in time. Molly and Lois are watching the screen, still kind of terrified, but they soon see that the timer has gone to 0 and that they're fine. So, yay!
Hooray!
Another note on the music in this episode, when Superman is up there moving the satellite, the music, I believe, is the same as in Batman when he flies up and talks to his clone in, like, satellite land.
Ah, probably. It would make sense. Gotta have a space track. So you can just put it anytime he's in space.
Yeah.
Chuck and Ryan are driving along in an open Jeep, and Ryan is like playing with his little doodad Palm Pilot thing and trying to figure out what's wrong because the satellite is facing the wrong way. Suddenly, Superman is there, flying beside the car in a sitting position as if he too is driving a car.
Ridiculous, but I love it.
So silly.
It's very cheesy.
Let's see. Satellite hijacking, attempted murder, terrorism, and oh yes, speeding. I'm gonna have to ask you boys to pull over. This is not gonna look good come promotion time.
Back in the control room, Lois and Molly, now without the fear of death looming over them, are having a heart-to-heart. They both apologize and agree that they can't believe they let a man come between them.
Well, then again, I've never met Superman.
Molly then wonders aloud,
I wonder what he'd be like to go out on a date with.
You and me both.
so it sounds like these two are friends again. I'm sure they'll spend lots of quality time together in upcoming episodes. Nope, we never see her again. It's fine.
True.
She can't have friends. She can't have friends.
No, not for
Lois.
not for more than 45 minutes.
Lois doesn't have time for that.
Nope.
Nope.
Back at the Daily Planet, Lois and Clark are still wearing their army gear, and we see Clark has glasses again and his hat that he tossed aside, so he must have gone back into that jail and got his stuff back. Lois asks Clark if he thinks she's judgmental and self-absorbed, and if he thinks she always has to be right. He answers her very carefully, but wonders why she's asking these questions. She admits it has to do with something Molly said. Lois then asks Clark if he thinks she's a good friend. His heart eyes light up, and he tells her,
I think you're a great friend.
Thanks.
Then he has to go on and add that
Although you do have your little quirks.
Lois says she likes her quirks. They make her unique. Clark's still looking at her rather lovingly and says,
You certainly are unique.
Aw. He's so cute.
yeah. That's what makes me, how you know that these two are going to be okay together because, yeah, she's a little self-absorbed. Yeah, she's a little judgmental. He loves her anyway.
Yeah.
It's going to be fine.
Yes. It's very sweet.
Perry comes up to them, alluding to the fact that he's heard what went down at Fort Truman. Clark asks where Jimmy is, and Perry hushes Clark and points. Jimmy is fast asleep in Perry's office.
I think he's got the heart of a real newsman. Just lacks a little endurance.
And it's sweet because Perry seems really proud of Jimmy. Just then the power comes back on. Yay!
Yay!
And Perry's like, who needs sleep? Let's put out an extra edition of the Daily Planet right now. We get a little banter back and forth between Lois and Clark, where Lois compliments Clark, and Clark just says, thanks. And Lois says, notice I didn't say anything about myself? Clark did notice. But you could, says Lois. Yep, says Clark. I could. And he kind of laughs at the look on Lois's face because she wants a compliment and is totally not gonna get it. He's such a tease. The end.
The end. So funny.
I always like when they do those little play on words and things when Perry says something about holding down the fort. that they held down the fort. I
Oh,
was like, oh, they
yeah.
did hold down the fort. Fort Truman.
Aha.
Silly. I don't
Silly.
know if that
I'm
was
just like, who did
intentional,
he
but
hear that from? Who did he? I don't know
yeah.
how all of this got relayed back to Perry and without him being the direct person they're telling, but it's fine. It moves the story along, right?
Yes.
All right. Is there anything else you wanted to talk about? New things you noticed? Favorite moments?
Lois looked adorable in her little army outfit.
Hmm.
She did. Is there ever a Jen in this series?
I feel like he mentions a Jennifer in one episode, like she's some Daily Planet staffer, but I can't remember which one.
Yeah.
Hmm.
I do feel there's a Jennifer that's briefly mentioned.
Lois has friends named Molly and Julie, but not Jen. Sorry, Jen.
It's all good. Sad face.
Jennifer, it's Clark from the newsroom again. Any progress on the background stuff on Monique Kahn and Jules Johnson?
Well, I really like Molly Flynn as a friend to Lois, and of course I love Melora Hardin, and she's just so fun and much better than Linda King. Sorry, Linda King, not
Yeah.
really. Yeah,
Yes, for sure.
I thought she did great, and I thought, yeah. And I think this is a very funny episode as well, between, Hey Law, Day Law, and 10 farmers and a cow, and Andy with his hearing. It was a lot of humor.
Yes.
Right, Julie, will you tell us about your scripts that you own for this episode, if there were any deviations, and also what dates are on those scripts?
I do have like a couple scripts. Production draft September 16th, 23rd, 27th, and 28th. But they weren't like full scripts. I have a full script, but they kind of threw in pages. So I don't have like really old stuff, unfortunately. So I don't really have a whole lot to talk about that's not in the episode. Let's see. When Superman saves Jimmy from getting run over, Superman says, "Are you all right, Jimmy?" And Jimmy has a line here that he says, "I'd feel better if my breakfast stopped dancing." Yeah, no. They cut all that.
Weird.
And that's really the only other thing other than the women who gave birth, which I already talked about.
Yeah.
Nothing exciting, sadly.
Jen, what's your vote for the most bonkers excuse Clark uses in this episode?
There were so many in this episode. I think this is the most we've gotten so far. There is the one where Lois asks if Clark wants to use the binoculars. He says, nope, I don't need them. They're hard to use with my glasses. After the malfunction at the beginning of the episode, Lois asks, where's Clark? And Superman goes, he went to get an ambulance. That one was boring. Clark's super speed. He reads Molly's book. He talks about how he noticed that she mentioned her boyfriend's death. Didn't go. Anyway, his response is, yeah, I read a lot of mysteries. It's a bad habit, which was kind of funny. I don't know.
Yeah, and it was quick thinking.
Yeah,
Like,
quick
how else
thinking.
do you explain that you read the last page?
Yeah. Perry sees Clark and asks where he's been. Clark's response is, I was stuck in traffic. Technically not a lie, but it was a good excuse. As they're leaving the apartment, he hears someone calling for help. Clark says, you head back to the planet. I'm going to stay and talk to these chanters. Dumb. I don't know. And then during the blackout at the planet, he walks in and he says he was covering Superman. So out of all of those, I feel like I liked maybe the binoculars. They're hard to use in my glasses because he
Yeah.
doesn't need them. Did you guys have a favorite?
I liked the reading a lot of mysteries. I thought that was kind of a ridiculous excuse.
Yeah. Yeah. That's a good one.
All right. Well, I'm here to talk about some real life things that we saw or we heard mentioned or saw in this episode. Not a whole lot, but I may have missed some as usual. We got mentions of Paris, Washington, D.C., and China. Lois referenced the lyrics of the song My Boyfriend's Back, which was originally sung by the Angels circa 1963. Perry mentioned the game of Battleship, which started out as a paper and pencil game around World War I, but in 1967, Milton Bradley released the plastic pegboard game we're more familiar with now. And Clark we got a mention of Norman Schwarzkopf, who was an army general kind of around the Gulf War era. And Clark made an allusion to Friends and Family, which was a nod to those who would have been familiar with it in 1994 to the telephone company MCI's Friends and Family program, which lets you have some discounts for the people you called long distance the most.
Yes.
And that is what I've got.
All right.
Julie, were there any goofs or bloopers in this episode?
Of course there were.
There was one right now.
There is one right now. I just dropped the donuts on the floor.
Oh no.
Right. No, Walter. Okay. Goofs and bloopers. Clark says that he now knows all 5 verses of Wendy when Wendy only has 2 verses. So he must have made up a few verses. At Lois's apartment, she goes to use her microwave, and once again, she's using it and it is not even turned on. So there's no power. There's just a beep, beep, beep. Again, Lois's fingernails were a different color in the close-ups. And then one other one I noticed was the yearbook that she was, looking for the the handwriting in. It was supposed to be her high school yearbook, or no, her college yearbook, correct? Okay. It was supposed to be a college yearbook, and it was actually a high school yearbook for Deer Lakes High School in Pennsylvania.
Wow, shout out Deer Lakes.
I know, but that is all I've seen. Other than obviously the apartment floor being 10 foot high, 10-foot floors high. I can't speak today.
Jen, were there any furry, feathery, or fluffy creatures in this episode?
No, but there were some scaly ones. There were some, I'm assuming, fish in the fish tank that we saw in Lois' apartment. So, fish, check.
We'll take it.
Awesome.
All right, my Clark forgot to use his blank today is Clark forgot to use his peripheral vision. Because how does Lois at the base go this way and Clark goes this way and immediately runs into guys with guns from 2 feet away? This man.
That's funny.
Good job, Clark. Getting caught.
Mm-hmm.
Well, the time has come for us to rate the episode on a scale from A+ to F-. And today we get to start with Julie.
Oh no, don't start with me. Okay. This episode, while I've always really liked it, and it is one that I'll rewatch and maybe even put in randomly if I get in the right mood. I gotta be in the right mood for this one. I think that most people kind of consider this a throwaway episode, that not much happens. I mean, a lot happens, but nothing really advances the relationship or whatever. But I've always really liked it. So I might be in the minority here, but I'm going to say B-. I like it.
Okay.
How about you, Jen?
This one doesn't excite me. I feel like I'm still waiting for season 2 to come alive. I don't know why it's just taking so long. Am I misremembering how much I love season 2? I have all these question marks in my head. I do love Andy in this episode, especially Andy and Jimmy together. But the old white guys and the army base stuff makes me yawn. There were a few cute moments with Lois and Clark, but I need more forward motion. I say this episode is just average, so I'm giving it a straight up C.
All right.
Okay. Well, I rarely pick this one out to watch it specifically because even though I've always thought that it has a lot of funny moments, overall, it's still the army episode in my mind, which blah. And I mean, as a kid, I did not appreciate the blackout, oh, we're still going to run the newspaper thing. And I didn't know the difference between a linotype machine and a shortwave radio. So none of that. And then Perry has a friend, Norman, and he has a friend, Andy, in there. But I was like, there's so much happening and I didn't
Yeah.
understand it. But now I do. And I really do appreciate the whole like journalism of the olden days kind of stuff. And Lois and Clark have a lot of really good banter. So Perry takes on a huge challenge in this episode. We get to see some history on what running a newspaper looked like back in the day, and I love that for Perry. So while this episode doesn't really advance the storyline, as you mentioned, there's not really any romance. I still think it's a pretty solid episode, minus the boring army stuff. So I'm actually giving it a B.
Wow.
Nice. Wow. I expected to be the highest one, and I wasn't.
I am
Awesome.
not surprised at all by mine being the lowest. I feel like we are on a trend at this point.
Huh. Well, no, you thought Church of Metropolis was better than we did. You rated that one higher. So we're just kind
Yeah.
of like on a weird wavelength where me and Julie are like
Yeah.
up while you're down.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
you're up while we're down.
Yeah. So weird.
There's something to like in every episode.
True.
Well, don't go anywhere because today we are talking about a machine that without it, we may not have become the folks that we were because it allowed us to not only see Lois and Clark, even though some of us were not always home on Sunday nights, but also it allowed us to rewatch the episodes over and over. And we're talking today about the video cassette recorder, aka the VCR.
Awesome.
So, little quick history on the VCR itself. So, there were actually video recorders being invented way back in the 1950s, believe it or not. But you could have never afforded one at the time because it would have cost the equivalent of $592,000 in today's money to have a VCR in the 50s, or the equivalent of, which
Ouch.
$500,000, yeah, no.
That's
No,
crazy.
no, no. So the only way you had one is if you were like a big news, if you were a television station and somehow you could afford it and then you could use it to record segments and play them later. So there were it was being used just only by certain types of venues. Then in the 1960s, we had Sony and Philips coming out with their sort of reel-to-reel video recorders. Then in 1972 is when you would start to see video cassettes of movies being released. So before videotape recorders were not entertainment, they were for news. But in the early 70s, they became, hey, maybe you can buy an old copy of The Wizard of Oz and watch it whenever you want. However, you and I probably still wouldn't have owned one of these machines because they cost the equivalent of now $9,791.
Yikes.
Dang.
And the other thing was, if you rented it and watched it, the video, you couldn't watch it twice because these machines did not rewind. You had to take it back to wherever you got it from and have someone rewind it for you. I mean, I guess you could use
Wow.
I don't know if you could use the pencil thing, but yeah.
Huh.
So finally, VCRs became more mainstream in the early 80s when they became more affordable. And by 1982, it says 10% of households in the US had one. And by 1985, 30% of households had one. And that, 1985, is the year my family got their first VCR. Because I found a receipt one time.
Wow.
Because my parents don't throw
That's
anything
awesome.
away.
We didn't have one that early. We had to rent one. I remember we rented one when we wanted to watch a movie. And then we finally got one, I think, I would say either really late 80s or maybe early 90.
Well, as you can imagine, there were pushbacks against the widespread use of VCRs, especially from movie studios and companies who thought, oh no, if people can watch things at home, they will not come to our cinemas anymore, which is kind of accurate, but still,
Yeah.
they.
Kinda. Yep, kind of happening now.
Hmm.
Sadly. I don't want to lose the theaters.
I
And it's
know.
also
Yeah, and
expensive.
here's well, they really pushed back. This is from Wikipedia. The Motion Picture of Association head Jack Valenti decried the, quote, savagery and the ravages of this machine, end quote, and likened its effect on the film industry and the American public to the Boston Strangler. Yes.
What?
As I
Okay.
hug my VCR and pet it lovingly. How dare you, sir? So they got better. They started having, the extra floating heads and all the things to make them more play the tapes back better. They got the rewind function. They got clocks on them so you could use a timer to record what you needed to record. And over the next few years, when we all had VCRs, a little show premiered on ABC, and we hit that record button and got ourselves a nice library of episodes. And today we just wanted to talk about like anything you remember about VCRs, about taping Lois and Clark, about VCR woes or snafus that you may have had. Julie, do you want to start?
Sure. I remember I always was panicking when I didn't have a tape to put in that night. We would go to Radio Shack. I would spend everything that I possibly had to get some tapes. And then if I didn't have one, remember the little tab that you could pull off of your tape once you had something on it, just so you didn't accidentally record over something. My sister would record stuff like Saved by the Bell. She would rip off the tab. But if I
Oh,
didn't have a tape for Lois and Clark, I would put a little bit of tape over that little spot so you could stick it in the
Oh,
VCR and record over it. And I
sneaky.
remember she was so mad because I recorded over the Saved by the Bell wedding and I recorded over
mm,
the Never-Ending Story. Sorry.
Oh,
mm.
wow.
But
Ah,
Lois and Clark is better. It was more important to me at the
Mhm.
time.
totally.
So I'm sorry. I know you took the little tab off the little tape saying don't record over me, but there's ways around it. And that's what I did because I was an
Funny.
evil sister.
I love
As
it.
a fellow older sister, I say you had rights.
Yes. That's true. I'm older, so if I want that tape, it's mine.
How about Jen?
I spent so much money on blank tapes. I know you could get them in packs, like a 4 pack and a 5 pack and whatever. I would always buy the packs, and I spent so much money on them. I had so many tapes in my closet. It was ridiculous. I think I've given most of them away or gotten rid of them somehow. So I have pretty much only home movies at this point. And I remember kind of I think we still have the first VCR. My parents still have the first VCR, which had a red record button, and you'd have to push the record and the play at the same time if you wanted to record. Um, I know later VCRs you could record from this time to this time, so you could set it in advance, which was always very handy. And then later on, it wasn't necessarily a VCR, but you could DVR it, I guess, where you push
TiVo.
the TiVo. Yeah, you'd type or you'd select the episode that you wanted to record, but you couldn't always rely on that because it would sometimes cut off the beginning or the end. And I remember a few times that I got kind of mad because I would miss the very beginning of an episode or the very end. And it would stress me out. I would be so stressed out if I was watching it and it wasn't starting right away. Yeah, good times.
So our first VCR, like I mentioned, 1985. We had it until 1988 when our house got robbed. And I wasn't as sad about them taking the VCR because my dad went and got a new VCR, but they also stole a Muppet Family Christmas from inside.
Oh no.
Aw.
So that
That's
was
so
really mean.
cool.
Yeah, so first VCR, then we got another one. I ended up getting one around Lois Clark's season 3 so that I could make copies of episodes and only for personal use if anyone's listening. I'm just kidding. And I got to have a VCR in my room for a while, so that was my third one, I think. Um, let's see. Yes, when Lois and Clark was on, I basically only taped that and maybe occasionally Full House and Phenom and a few other things and some TV movies that were for kids. But by about 1998, I was taping everything that interested me because the thing with Lois and Clark, you remember that I didn't get into it until most of the way through season 1, and then so I didn't have a lot of the old episodes on tape, and that always like really made me mad. And I was like, well, then if that ever happens with another show, I need to have all these episodes on tape. So any show I thought I even liked a little bit, I would start taping. Because back then we had no concept that in just a decade we'd have all these shows on streaming and so many more shows would be released on DVD and that like that. But back then it was like if you did not watch it when it aired on that first night, or if you didn't catch the rerun, we thought that was it. You would just never ever get to see these episodes. And that's how we felt, kind of just like, oh crap. Yeah, so I taped a lot of stuff. I ended up with way too many VHS tapes. I have now given most of them away. Shout out to Adam from the Remember That Show podcast. He has quite a lot of them now.
Awesome.
Yeah. With me, it's like either hot or cold. It's either I don't tape anything or I literally tape everything and it gets to be absolutely out of control. So, and nowadays I don't have a working VCR, but I do sometimes the library there you can rent them from the library. And that's how I get some of my Lois
Right.
and Clark content back off the tapes for putting it online for these for our socials and stuff. And that's pretty much that. I don't know. I mean, I did watch because my parents didn't take us to very many movies. And we went to the video store maybe once every 2 weeks and got like one thing. I relied on taping movies off TV for my entertainment for many years in my teenage years. And that was how that was how I got my entertainment. So thank you, VCRs, for all you did. And I'm sorry that you are
Yes.
now extinct. They do not make them anymore. Nobody manufactures them, but you can still get used ones and refurbs and stuff like that if you want to watch those old VHS tapes for the nostalgia factor, I assume.
Who wouldn't want to do that?
I if we watch our old Lois and Clark tapes, not only will we get blips of little commercials, or on Jen's, lots of commercials,
Mm-hmm.
and the next week on promos. If we
Yep.
didn't still have our tapes, we wouldn't have those.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Well, thank you so much for listening today. If you are following along with the rewatch with us, our next episode will be season 2, episode 7, That Old Gang of Mine.
On the next Lois and Clark, thinking of taking over Metropolis.
Aren't you boys a little late for Halloween?
When a scientist brings Al Capone, John Dillinger, and Bonnie and Clyde back from the dead.
I'm through playing nicey nice with these people.
Metropolis is mobbed by gangsters.
Leave her alone. No one makes the rules for Al Capone.
No! And when Clark has to fake his own death,
No.
can Lois fight them all alone? William Devane guest stars in all new Lois and Clark 2 weeks from tonight here on ABC.
And until next time, remember, double fudge crunch balls? I'm hoarding those for myself.
Literally, you are.
Yes.
Because we have some.
Back. You can find us on Instagram, Threads, Blue Sky, and Facebook as Folks Forever. That's FOLCS FOREVER. Or you can visit our website at folksforeverpod.wixsite.com/podcast.
Typing away with the sound of gears. Retro feels, let's rewind the years.
He is best known for being in Dumber and Dumber. Hang on, let me say that again. Ironic that I would say that one wrong.
Never mind.
Walter's rolling around upside down. Shaky? That was a shaky, huh? He wants our snacks.
So Ryan plans to destroy Fart Truman.
I'm a fourth grader.
Ouch. She did. I just hit the wall.
Did you just get a splinter in an embarrassing place, Julie?
I did on my elbow. Like smack the wall.
All right.
I know. Why am I so sleepy?
I'm sleepy.
Are you sleepy?
Yep. I'm always sleepy.
And Perry corrects her, saying, Haber stops her, or something like that. Haber stops her? Haber stops her?
Haber.
Haber
What was that again?
Haber stops her?
What'd you say? Huh?
What?
What are you yelling for?